So my name is Darren Pusu, and I'm a product manager here at Esri. The products I manage are ArcGIS Earth, Locate XT, the extension Jack spoke about that discovers and extracts geographic coordinates, place names, and other critical information from unstructured data, as well as some new capabilities around situational awareness across the platform. My main focus areas are in Fed, Intel, and defense space. Excuse me. But I've been expanding into other industries as well. I joined Esri just under 2 years ago, and before this I worked at the Pacific Disaster Center as a liaison for United States Southern Command. And presenting with me today is our lead product engineer for ArcGIS Earth, Jasmine Du.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Du. I'm responsible for ArcGIS Earth design, product design and release for both desktop and mobile platform. My main focus areas are product design and development, 2D and 3D data support, as well as user experience design across Earth platform. I joined Esri for more than 3 years. I'm based in Beijing R&D Center. Before this, I was a statistical GIS analyst in ABT SRBI New York office, works on consulting projects in transportation, community health, and public opinion research.
Thanks. Jack mentioned having a vision and a planner, and I like to remind folks that we didn't really set out to replicate Google. We built Earth looking towards the future and providing a new experience that would allow users in large organizations and enterprises to access the value of data in ArcGIS Enterprise and ArcGIS Online. But we still left the door open for users to access open source data such as WMS, WMTS, and traditional file-based workflows and patterns, workflow patterns such as KML. Earth is basically one of many tailored experiences for 3D in ArcGIS, and it really complements the Pro and the Scene Viewer. Google's announcement that it was leaving the on-premises market was basically a catalyst in our effort for ArcGIS Earth. Today, Earth users are knowledge workers. They are non-GIS professionals, also analysts, if you will, who combine or aggregate geospatial data. They visualize and share this data on the globe. Earth was built so that anyone could quickly access and view 3D data over the internet. In our session this morning, we'll look at the different types of enterprise data accessible through Earth. We'll also look at the types of deployments that are being supported by ArcGIS Earth and how administrators can get started quickly. And we're also going to give you a sneak peek into what's next for ArcGIS Earth. It was launched in January of 2016, and we had about 7 major releases since then, and with each release we incorporated feedback from our users. We focused on 3 key areas, and that is the 3D globe experience, aggregation and visualization of multiple types of spatial data, making Earth secure and deployable across large enterprises. Now, Google users typically see content as KML, so we included traditional file-based workflows into ArcGIS Earth. But Earth users usually see all types of data as their spatial content. Because they can access open source data, KML, tile packages, scene layer packages, local raster data, shape files, CSV files, and soon types that would be like point clouds and web scenes and web maps, as our users can access these via files or services. In about November of 2016, Esri delivered its first release of the next generation of runtime. ArcGIS Runtime was reimagined from the ground up. Native apps built using this new version, such as Earth, can take advantage of this new architecture, and right away we've seen improvements in quality, performance, and stability. The memory consumption of running the ArcGIS Earth application between 6 and 7 was significantly reduced, as you can see on the screen. We've made most was basically in memory savings, And it comes from improvements done in loading our layers. So in ArcGIS Earth 1.7, we load higher quality data in the foreground. The Earth team has been working swiftly to bring these powerful capabilities into ArcGIS Earth, optimizing the performance and establishing a baseline for a host of new geospatial capabilities that will begin rolling out under the new runtime. So I'm going to go cover some of these core capabilities of Earth. So one of our main focus areas is user experience, right? And we've been continuing to make it easier and easier for users to work with, as well as get started with Earth. In 1.7, we've made some onboarding improvements for Earth users to start with the startup tips that appear at the launch of the app. As an admin, you can modify these based on your organization's needs. Navigation is pretty simple in Earth. You can navigate by mouse, by keyboard, touch. And with the new architecture in place, you'll notice a smoother graphics and rendering experience. It also allows you to search for a point of interest and have the map zoom to a specific location. By default, ArcGIS Earth uses the Esri's World Geocoding Services to find addresses, landmarks, business names, and postal codes in more than 100 countries around the world. And your organization can also configure custom geocode services for geosearch or geocoding, or both. With a portal connection, ArcGIS Earth uses the first geocoder configured in the utilities for a portal, but support for multiple geocoders are in our roadmap for sure. One of the key differentiators from Google Earth is the ability to switch out base maps, as well as elevation sources from both online or local sources. And as a GS guy, I like to have context in my map, so I'm always wanted to convey, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, that imagery is not the best thing to use all the time as your backdrop. Support for KMLs across the platform, and it's an initiative that brought Chris Andrews, who I see here, as treaty across the platform, and myself have been leading at Esri. Earth, Pro, Explorer, Runtime, and to some extent the JavaScript API all support KML now. Functions such as network links, time sliders, time series animations, and tours are all available in ArcGIS Earth. And more so for users who are behind the firewall, we've added a local path for KML icons. For the more adventurous, external KML calls can be made from within Earth using a control right-click functionality. You can find these details on using this feature on the line, as my daughter would say. Web scenes and web layers are building blocks, so to speak, for 3D on the web, desktop and runtime apps like Earth. You'll notice I3S open specification is used for creating and sharing these scenes. Additional enterprise data, including 3D models, are included. And we've been adding more to the list. We also have a host of local raster data, data types that are accessible, GeoTIFFs, DTEDs, and in 1.7 we've added JPEG 2000, NTIFF, and HREs. You can add features from a text file or CSV file that include lat longs or address information, and like other data formats in Earth, you can just add it from a dialog or just simply drag and drop it into ArcGIS Earth. You can address geocode your CSV file if you're connected to on-premises portal or ArcGIS Online. Once you've added your file, you can edit the properties of the layer that is created, and you can do this also with shape files, add and change symbology, etc. It can also access our ArcGIS RESTful services, so map services, image services, feature services, and scene services can all be added to Earth. With 1.7, we've added the capability to identify and display metadata, image services, as well as WMS services on the globe. Additionally, in 1.7, we've improved the support for WMS and WMTS. Users have the ability now to select sublayers from the WMS services. So a lot of organizations load numerous amounts of data. We've seen like hundreds of layers sometimes. And in this release, we've separated the contents of the TOC into My Drawings and My Data for easy grouping and sorting. There are also some additional capabilities with the submenus for KML, and we look forward to adding more of those in coming releases. We've also added in 1.7 a refresh capability. So if you get disconnected from the internet, you simply click the refresh button in the TOC and your layers will be refreshed without having to go and look for that layer and reload it into Earth. There's a pretty beefy sketch and markup tools, and it lets the users add content in many ways and even save it out as a KMZ. You could set the opacity, add new custom icons, and what we've done is we've found that the icons in Google didn't look as good in ArcGIS Earth. So the team went and they built their own custom icons that really look nice and sharp when you use them in ArcGIS Earth. We have measurement capabilities in here, so I can, as a user, set my default measurement and coordinate display units. I could measure locations, paths, distance, and heading and area. I could copy these measurements to my clipboard and then save them out as a KMZ. Of course, a core capability is for our users to be able to leverage data through portals in ArcGIS Enterprise or ArcGIS Online. And we've made this experience similar to that of Pro. So we've added more metadata and easier ways of finding information with 1.7. In terms of personalization, we've also added a customizable experience for your users. So users could set the default measurements, they could set their navigation speed, turn autosave on and off, show hyperlinks if you want to see it in an external browser. There are several other features that users could do to tailor the experience for their own liking. And we've had several requests, I would say, from users such as BAE Systems who use a similar functionality with Google API for their application Socket.txt for a standard way to communicate with ArcGIS from the same machine but another application. On the right, you can see ArcGIS Pro, and there's some bookmarks. So whatever is happening in Pro simultaneously happens in ArcGIS Earth. So with the current version, users could control the camera, navigation, fly around. They could get camera information, and they can control data operations such as adding data and deleting layers. But we have plans to expand this functionality for Earth and even include an ArcGIS Earth API in our roadmap. And of course, the typical functions of save and sharing your maps. So we've been working closely with NGA and others in big organizations for Earth, especially on the authentication front. As you know, it could be a bit tricky behind a firewall, especially with multiple networks. So we've been working with them closely to be able to work this. Users with Earth configured to a PKI-enabled portal can automatically be signed in. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are working behind a firewall and using PKI as authentication? So to make this deployments less complicated for the admins, we've added a config XML file that admins can configure prior to install. As you know, with hundreds of users, it's very difficult for them to be able to come in and just install it and then have to point to the portals. So we set up a configuration file where the admin could specify the portals, your navigation units, put in the layers, even point to an alternate icon path for those behind the firewall that are not able to get to the internet, including error logging, and so on. And we've been adding more and more detail to this. So as a user installs and runs Earth, all of this stuff is already available for them. So in terms of deployment patterns, this is the ones we have seen, and this is the typical patterns that are available. On-premises, disconnected behind a firewall. You can run Earth using Esri hosted service, or you could do both, right? And have a hybrid and be behind a firewall as well as reach out to ArcGIS online. It also works well disconnected from the internet. Currently we have a multiple file process, but next year we'll be adding a single file experience to Earth, so that if you think, and I mentioned before, Google users think of their content as KML. What we're going to be doing is building a mobile scene package that would be able to hold your base maps, hold your terrain data, and include your content like KML. And you'll have this as one file that could be taken offline or published as a service where other users can access that data. And if you're wondering, it can also be run in virtualized environments, and just recently we've added Citrix to that mix. So Earth user usage and adoption rate has been mounting significantly. I've seen this for myself in 2 short years. We have thousands of organizations leveraging ArcGIS online through ArcGIS Earth, and I think it's about 3,000 downloads per month at this stage. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jasmine, and she's going to show you what we have next for ArcGIS Earth. And just before I turn it over, are there any questions so far about the core capabilities of ArcGIS Earth?
One quick one. Do you have the ability to display subsurface? Can you turn off the base map and see subsurface geometry?
Okay, so the question is, do we have the ability to show subsurface? At this point, because we are a runtime application, it's not in runtime, but it is in our roadmap to be able to provide subsurface. Yeah. Yes, sir?
What about viewing like Revit files or something files from Autodesk? Is that in the future plans?
None at this time to view Revit files, but we are working closely with Autodesk to bring Revit and that type of capability into the platform. And certain things like that take a progression, of course. We've got Pro, we've got all these other applications across the platform. So that definitely it'll be something that we'll think about for Earth. Yes, sir?
Will these slides be available online after the conference?
Yes, the slides will be available and Esri proceedings as we do for each year. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jasmine. Thanks for the questions.
Sure. So as everyone is here, so I'm sure you will be curious about what's next for ArcGIS Earth. So in the coming 1.8 release, we will extend our platform capability by consuming portal items, including web scene, web map. Also, user can add type package as elevation and load feature collections created by ArcGIS Explorer. Earth is now equipped with powerful interactive analysis toolsets. I will show you some demo in the next slides. So our design concept has always been intuitive, simple, and user-friendly. In 1.8 release, you will find a lot of improvements in UX, like 3D Explore mode bookmark. Besides, we will add enhancements including display measurement segments while drawing, GeoSearch with multiple geocoders, and identify scene layer. and a few customization functions, including customize specific step view, clear workspace, and a lot more. As a platform good for collaborative workflow, we will package Earth to Microsoft Store, which will help your organization to fetch Earth with a much more free experience. Yeah, feel free to take pictures of what's coming. Okay, so now let's take a sneak peek of the interactive analysis tool. Start from line of sight. It provides 3 functions to help you analyze visibility in a scene. And let's take downtown San Francisco, for example. Click in the scene to place the observer, and then click to place the target. You can place multiple targets subsequently. You can move the observer and target to find a better position by simply drag and drop the points, or tapping exact X, Y, Z and a vertical offset that represents the eye height of an observer. We provide you 3 color schemes to identify anything visible and invisible. You can also simulate your camera in the area of interest with the exact same workflow. Right-click in Scene to open 3D Explore mode and rotate the camera. With the animation tool, you can perform line of sight analysis along a selected line. This tool will help you determine visibility along a route. In a user scenario, it could be a car passing by or a drone flying through. You will see how much coverage that vehicle can get through the animated line of sight analysis. With view shade analysis, you can answer visibility assessment questions a lot easier. You can add view shade by clicking or from camera. The color red means not visible, while the blue means it's visible. You can adjust the heading, tilt, horizontal, vertical, and range parameters. With the animation tool, you can preview how much coverage a moving object can see along a path too. In the coming new release, we will also add a 3D measure tool. You can now measure distance in 3D between 2 points. These new interactive tools will help you dynamically calculate distance as you move over features, terrain, or buildings. Let's open the bookmark. We also new added in 1.8 release to help you understand what's happening here for the 3D measure tool. So let's go out to a non-urban area. When hiking in the mountain, the elevation profile tool can help you create a profile graph from a terrain dataset surface. We can simply click along the mountain and to create a line. It will generate a profile graph instantly. The y-axis is for elevation, x-axis is for distance. Graph also includes the cumulative distance along the surface, the maximum, minimum, gain loss for elevation, and also maximum slope and average slope. You can activate terrain profile from selected feature or measurement segments too. You can flip the elevation profile direction and export the graph as image. Also, what's next? Earth has been widely adopted since its initial release. With the new effort in mobile, now you will be able to read your 2D and 3D content in your modern phone or tablet within a native application. Even with intermittent internet connectivity, we've also optimized the responsive UI of ArcGIS Earth for light viewing experience. The 3 key concepts for mobile are connect to ArcGIS Online Enterprise, collect information and share, as well as disconnected usage. So let's take a demo to help you preview what's happening next. With the phone, you can now connect to your ArcGIS Online or Enterprise account, browse, and add 2D or 3D data to mobile device. Let's add this integrated mesh data of Yosemite published through Pro by Verizon, and then navigate through, tilt, and use your hand gestures. Viewing your content in 3D scene has never been this easier. For now, we support feature service, image service, scene service, and map service. User can also add your markups to the globe, change color or size. Modern technology iterates really fast. With the powerful sensors in mobile device, you can now simulate working in the scene from a first-person angle view. We will bring augmented reality in the near term too. Route. This feature route was designed to improve your workflow outdoor and later share your collected information for your group. So we introduced this new feature to help you collect information and share stories. You can select photos from album. For example, the few pictures I took during my trip to Seoul last month. Of course, the food, the streets, and some good pictures. I can see where I have been to in a 3D application. The other route here will also display some remarkable sceneries along the hiking trail near Great Wall. Okay, so I'm sure you had the experience of struggling with intermittent connectivity when working outdoor. Take the demo from a Samsung tablet. With ArcGIS Earth Mobile, you can now add the scene layer package or type package saved in your local device. Open it while you are working in the field. Click measurement tool to learn about the location information, or even a quick visibility assessment with interactive analysis tools like line of sight and viewshed analysis. In near future, we will deliver a new data format, just as Darren mentioned, the mobile scene package, which will be generated from Pro to include everything you need to work offline. The KML, the data package, the locators, base maps, and terrains. So, where are all these what's news? All of these great updates will be live in August. We start from Android platform for mobile. You will be able to download the alpha version in Google Play Store or Esri early adopter site. iOS is in the progress. Our plan is to release the formal version by the end of this year, so I really encourage every one of you take this opportunity to download and test, provide your feedbacks, and let us know what you want to see in ArcGIS Earth for mobile platform. Now I will switch to Darren.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions on the demo or for Jasmine? Okay. So this is our roadmap for Earth. What we focused on, as I mentioned earlier, was the essential user experience and to make Earth secure and deployable. In that sense, we've made Earth lightweight and easy to use. We've added KML, services, open source access to ArcGIS Online, and Enterprise. We made a configurable installer. We've added a sketching and markup capability, able to add your 3D models and geocoding against ArcGIS Online and Portal and more. Just in August of last year, we moved to the new runtime. To basically, this is a baseline for all the new capabilities that we're going to be adding. So we've been asked for vector tile base maps, point clouds, 3D points, GeoJSON, and yes, many other data types that are in our pipeline to be able to be added. KML editing is one of the biggest pieces that we see as a challenge to get in there, but it's coming, and we hope to have that in the near future. Interactive tools, as Jasmine showed, localization, as well as the disconnected workflow that we talked about, and Earth Mobile. These are all near and midterm. But as we look longer, we're looking at a centralized configuration for Portal. We mentioned the config XML file where an administrator could basically configure Earth from this file and install it. We're looking towards adding that as an item in Portal where a user could log in and be able to configure ArcGIS Earth. We know that we could cover probably about 80% of what everyone would like to do in ArcGIS Earth, but there's that 20% where somebody would want to customize it for their own applications in-house. And we're looking for user feedback to be able to put those functions in an API for you. Underground and navigation, of course, and more are also in the works. So it is a free application. It's been free. I haven't heard Jack say anything otherwise. You could basically go to our site and download it. And as you see, there's a bunch of tools already available that you can use. And personally, looking at those interactive tools, they're really just awesome for me, for sure. We don't have a lot of information on help. There's very helpful information online, but it's so easy to use. Like last year, I taught at my daughter's 5th grade class, and in like 5 minutes, these kids were zooming and panning. They were using the same keys that they use in Minecraft, and I didn't even know that, right? They were zooming, tilting the globe. They were adding features. It was just absolutely amazing. The teacher couldn't, she continually said how easy it was for them to do their geography project. And it's not just in the elementary school, but we have a professor in the University of Wisconsin that have deployed this to over 700 kids and incorporated it into his geospatial studies. So it's been taking off just in the 2 years that we've launched it. So I'll pause a little bit. I know we went pretty fast here, hoping to get you to your next session pretty early. But I do like to take some questions and see what you think about ArcGIS Earth and what we're doing next. Yes, ma'am?
Sorry, I missed the beginning, but for the user markups or editing features, how do you retrieve those if you're not the actual user?
Okay, so the question is, how do you retrieve the markups once you create them in ArcGIS Earth with the sketch tools? Okay, so when you export them, you can export them as a KMZ file. Yeah.
You expose a data table underneath the display?
The attribute table, yes, you could, if you could identify on feature services, map services, shape files, even the camels that you click on.
So in the Earth interface, you show that, or do you have to display it in ArcGIS?
I can take that.
I'm sorry, the question is?
You can display it in ArcEarth, or do you display the tables in
Okay, the tables themselves are not visible like you would see in ArcGIS Pro, but when you click on it, the attribute information will appear. But it's not meant to be a pro user. Pro users are like, let's say, in the hundreds, but Earth users are in the 100,000s. And what we've found is that the 100,000 users usually reach out to the pro users to get this type of data. This puts that power in their hand, that all of the data that the professional GIS user created and put in his portal, an ArcGIS Earth user can simply log into that portal and access that data. They can contribute to the organization more efficiently because now they can visualize and aggregate that data. As analysts and also as analysts, we do a lot of thinking spatially, but we don't have the capability. You know, we don't have a pro sitting down to do that, and we don't have all these high tech and fancy GIS tools. But this really puts that in the hand of a solid knowledge worker to get that job done. Yes, sir?
When exactly on the roadmap are you trying to, what's the target for having this on iOS?
So there are three things that we have that are priority for us right now. And like I said, we have like 80% of the Google functionality complete, but we wanted to focus more in the KML editing so that users could right-click and do refresh rates. We wanted to concentrate on the mobile scene package and then give users the opportunity to configure. We're definitely taking requests from users like, say, I have 100 users that need to be on Mac. We're seeing it more moving to the Google Chromebooks in terms of the the widespread usage. But definitely, if you're an organization that has quite a bit of Mac users, we definitely want to investigate doing that.
Specifically about iPhone.
For the Android and for the mobile,
Yeah.
yes.
So for the alpha version of mobile, we will deliver the Earth for Android in August. So you can download and provide your feedbacks. We are in a lot of testing and understanding what's really needed from the user, even as mobile for Android or iOS, both of them. So just feel free to start from Android and provide us your feedback. Our intention is to have the 1.0 release for mobile at the end of this year, both for Android and iOS. Yeah. Sure.
Yes?
Is there a file size limit with uploading data?
A file size for loading up the data?
A limit.
A limit? Well, I don't think so, because yesterday I showed a 121 gigabyte file that I just loaded into ArcGIS Earth, and I could just basically drag and drop it in there, and it took like 4 seconds. Yeah, and if you come by the booth, we have many examples that we can show you, for sure, in a 3D showcase. Yeah.
Were you supposed to find your database?
I'm sorry?
Were you supposed to find your database?
Geodatabases? No. It would massively change the footprint of ArcGIS Earth. We wanted to keep a very light footprint. Right now it's under 80 K. So I think it's even less than Google right now. And if we were to do that, it would change that paradigm.
Can you please clarify that is ArcGIS Earth available then for macOS, standard macOS, or no?
For standard, I'm sorry?
For ArcGIS Earth, can you download it for a Mac, or is it?
No. But you could like dual boot the OSs and still run it on that. For now, like I mentioned, if there's a real need in an organization that has 1,000 users of Mac and they really need to get over there, then we could look at putting that as a priority. But so far, for the last 2 years, we haven't had that ask, so to speak. All right, I want to thank you guys for coming to the session. I just put a little map up there. We're in the 3D showcase. Jasmine Du, like I said, is our lead PE. We have Young Wei in the back, who is our Young Wei. Can you please stand here so you can see them? They're at the showcase, and they can show you and answer more questions. Please take our survey and fill it out. It really helps us when we do our next presentation. And thank you so much.
Thank you.